Some movies just, they really stick with you. They manage to cross borders, resonate in ways you don't always see coming.
Mm.
And for me, Parasite, the 2019 film, definitely one of those.
Oh, absolutely.
Bong Joon Ho directed it. And it's just wild to think, isn't it? A South Korean movie wins the Palme d'Or at Cannes that makes history. First non-English film ever to win Best Picture at the Oscars.
It was massive. And considering the budget wasn't huge, relatively speaking, and then it pulls in over, what, $258 million worldwide?
Exactly. It just makes you think, what was it about Parasite? What made it connect so strongly with so many people? It's still talked about constantly.
Yeah, it really hit a nerve.
So let's maybe unpack some of that today. Look at the key things that made it such a global phenomenon.
Sounds good. I think a huge part of it, even though it's so rooted in South Korea, is how it tapped into something, well, universal,
Yeah.
fundamentally human. At its core, it's this incredibly sharp look at class conflict, isn't it? Social inequality. The gap between the wealthy Parks and the struggling Kim family is just, it's stark. You see it everywhere in the film.
It really is. You've got the Kims literally crammed into this semi-basement, stealing Wi-Fi,
Yeah.
just trying to get by.
Yeah.
And then you get to the Parks in this gorgeous architect-designed house. But it goes deeper than just money, right? It digs into the systems that kind of keep those divides in place.
Definitely. It touches on things like the Hell-Joseon idea in South Korea, this feeling young people have about intense pressure, lack of opportunity, the crazy housing market.
And while those details are specific to Korea, the feelings behind them, anxiety about money, about getting ahead or just staying afloat, those feel completely universal, don't you think?
Oh, totally. And the way the film shows this visually is so clever. Like, think about all the stairs.
Ah, yes, the staircase.
The Kims are constantly going up and down, up and down. Between floors in the Park house, sure, but also, like, symbolically between their world and this other one they're trying to break into. It's this constant visual reminder of where they stand or where they don't stand.
And then there's that whole thing with smell. It's almost visceral the way the Parks react to this shared scent they perceive on the Kims.
It's so uncomfortable. It acts like this invisible line they just can't cross no matter what they do. It almost reminds you of those old, like, miasma theories, linking smells to disease or low status. It's really quite dehumanizing.
It is. And the film isn't afraid to show the desperation that kind of inequality breeds. You see the Kims doing these elaborate, morally gray things just to get a foothold.
Right. And what's really interesting is how it avoids that easy narrative of, the oppressed unite. The way the Kims treat the previous housekeeper and her husband.
Yeah, that's rough.
It shows how fighting for scraps can actually divide people, how it undermines solidarity. It's a really sharp point about vulnerability among the marginalized.
It sets up almost like this dark comedy, kind of a heist vibe at first, but then it just pivots so sharply into tragedy. And that tonal shift, wow, it really hits home, doesn't it? The destructive side of wanting status, the desperation.
It really does. And even the ending, Kiwoo writing those letters. There's maybe a tiny sliver of hope, but it feels so out of reach, almost reinforcing the cycle of poverty.
Yeah, like a dream he can't quite wake up from.
And people have pointed out, compared to maybe how American films often handle class, Parasite is just much more direct. Bracing, I think, was a word used. It doesn't really soften the blow.
No, it doesn't. And I think that honesty combined with themes that just resonate everywhere, wanting a better life, money worries, the gap between rich and poor.
Yeah.
That's why it had such massive appeal.
Exactly. It spoke to something real.
And a huge reason why those themes landed so hard, even with the wild plot twists, has got to be the acting. Just phenomenal across the board.
Absolutely. They won the SAG Award for Ensemble Cast, and it was so well-deserved. Just think about Song Kang-ho as Kim Ki-taek, the dad. His performance is it's a masterclass in subtle change. You see him go from being kind of resourceful, a bit down on his luck, but trying,
Right.
to being filled with this simmering anger and then just despair. And he conveys it all with tiny shifts in expression. It's incredible.
And Lee Sun-kyun as Mr. Park, the rich dad.
Yeah.
He perfectly captured that kind of oblivious privilege,
Yeah.
comfortable distance from other people's problems. It feels so real and honestly kind of infuriating sometimes.
It does. And Yeo-jeong as Mrs. Park, she was fantastic too. So layered. She's sort of naive in her wealth, maybe, but also totally complicit in the whole system.
Yeah, she walks that line really well. And the younger Kims, Choi Woo-shik as the son, Ki-woo and Park So-dam as the daughter, Ki-jung, they have this amazing energy, that mix of cleverness and desperation.
Especially Park So-dam as Ki-jung. She had such cunning.
Definitely. And you can't forget the supporting cast. Jang Hae-jin is the mom. Park Myung-hoon is the guy in the bunker. Kyun-se.
Oh, and Lee Jong-un as Moon-gwang, the original housekeeper. She got a lot of recognition, deservedly so. They all just added so much texture.
The chemistry between all of them was just essential, wasn't it?
Uh-huh.
Especially for navigating those wild tonal shifts the film throws at you.
Crucial. And speaking of navigating those shifts, you have to talk about Bong Joon Ho's direction.
Oh, for sure. Best Director Oscar, Grand Bell Award.
Right.
His vision is just undeniable.
The way he blends genres is just seamless. It's part heist movie, part social satire, part dark comedy, thriller, horror, tragedy, all wrapped into one.
It's an incredible balancing act, isn't it?
Yeah.
That constant juggling of tones. You're laughing one minute, then you're completely on edge the next.
Exactly. And somehow through all that, the social commentary just gets sharper and deeper. It feels like he's taking familiar movie tropes and twisting them, using them to say something really important.
Yeah, using the blockbuster language for social critique and his visual storytelling.
Yeah.
Wow. We mentioned the stairs, but just the contrast between the spaces themselves. The Kim's cramped, dark basement versus the park's open, airy, sunlit mansion.
It's a constant visual reminder of that huge gap. And yeah, like you said, the ending feels maybe bleaker, harsher than some of his earlier films. It really underlines the tough realities he's looking at.
You can tell the collaboration with his co-writer, Jin-won, and the cinematographer, Hong Kong-pyo, was super tight.
Yeah.
It all feels so cohesive.
Definitely. And we have to talk more about that cinematography by Kang-hoLee, just visually masterful work.
Right. I mean, they use high-end cameras, Alexa 65 and all that, but it's how they use them that matters.
Exactly. The camera movement often tells you something about the character's state of mind, doesn't it? Like early on, as the Kims are kind of infiltrating, there's this slow, subtle push-in feel sometimes.
Yeah, like they're advancing.
Yeah. Right. And then maybe when they think they've made it, things get a bit more static, like a false sense of calm. But then, boom, chaos hits, like when the housekeeper returns and suddenly it's handheld, shaky, mirroring the disruption.
Even the smooth Steadicam shots inside the bark house feels significant, emphasizing how easily they move through their world.
And the framing, always using windows, doorways, walls to visually box characters in or separate them, reinforcing those divisions. And yes, always the stairs lurking.
I noticed the wide lenses, too, and the long takes sometimes. It really pulls you into the scene, makes it feel immediate.
Yeah, adds to the realism and the flow. And the lighting does so much work. All that natural light pouring into the park house, it screams freedom, luxury.
Compared to the Kim's basement, which is all dim and claustrophobic, that fluorescent tungsten glow, it feels oppressive.
Totally. And that flood scene, my God. The murky water, the flickering lights. It's almost surreal, like a nightmare. It just visually sums up the chaos and how far they've fallen.
Even the colors seem deliberate. Warmer tones for the park's comfort, cooler, muted colors for the Kim's world. And later, that almost sickly green tint starts creeping in.
Right. Suggesting entrapment, maybe decay. And the way the camera catches these tiny facial expressions, plus the blocking Kims, often in shadow, parks in light, it just constantly reinforces that core theme. Hong's work, that luxurious quality in low light people praise, it's just stunning.
Beyond the visuals, though, the film is packed with symbols, motifs, things that add layers of meaning.
Oh, yeah. Symbols are powerful, aren't they? They pack so much meaning into one thing, hit you emotionally.
And Parasite uses them so effectively, like the viewing stone.
Ah, the scholar's rod.
Yeah, it starts as this gift from Kai-woo's rich friend, right?
Yeah.
And immediately it represents,
Yeah.
what? Hope, aspiration, his belief he could lift his family out of poverty.
Exactly. It's this tangible symbol of his desire to, like, cross over. And then watching where that stone shows up.
Right. It's there when things seem to be going well, when they're embedding themselves with the parks. It's like a symbol of his success.
But then later, when everything's falling apart, he's desperately clutching it, right? Trying to use it as a weapon, almost. It goes from symbolizing hope to symbolizing this desperate clinging to a shattered dream. It really tracks his whole arc. It becomes this recurring motif.
And then, contrasting that, you have the smell.
The smell. So potent.
It starts almost subtly, just the parks noticing something.
Yeah.
But it grows into this unavoidable symbol of the Kim's poverty, something they can't wash off, especially for Ki-taek. Even the little boy, Da-song, clocks it.
Yeah, he's the one who really points it out explicitly. And the film keeps bringing it up, hammering it home. It becomes this invisible class barrier they just can't escape. You see Ki-taek getting more and more self-conscious, wounded by it, and ultimately...
What triggers the final explosion.
Exactly. It's the breaking point. So that repetition makes it a really powerful motif. representing this inescapable aspect of their identity, in the eyes of the wealthy at least.
So you've got these two key motifs working together, almost against each other. The stone aspiration, the dream of moving up, the smell, the inescapable reality of their current position.
Precisely. And it's that tension, that interplay between the hope represented by the stone and the constant crushing reminder of the smell that really hammers home the film's core message, doesn't it?
Yeah, it really speaks to how incredibly difficult, maybe impossible it is to truly break through those systemic barriers, no matter how much you dream or scheme.
Absolutely. And that, I think, is the brilliance of Parasite. It uses everything, amazing characters, stunning filmmaking, these potent symbols to explore class, inequality, desperation, in a way that just resonated everywhere.
It's that mix, isn't it? The genre bending, the entertainment value, but fused with this incredibly sharp, insightful social critique. That's why it feels so fresh and powerful still.
Definitely. It's a film that really makes you think long after you've seen it about all those elements, the visuals, the symbols, the performances, and how they combine to create such a profound impact. Makes you reflect on, the structures around us and just think of human nature.